What if I told you that there was once a man who stood so firm, so unshakable, that even when faced with death, betrayal, and unbearable loss, he refused to break? His name was Hussein, and his story is not just history, it's a lesson that proves inner peace isn't about comfort, it's about courage. Now, let me ask you this. If the world turned against you tomorrow, would you still know who you are? Would you stand for your values, even if it cost you everything? That's the test Hussein faced, and that's the test you face every single day in smaller ways. You might think this sounds impossible, to remain calm when chaos rages, to hold peace when pain cuts deep, to stay true when everyone else bends. But here's the truth. There are rules, practical, timeless rules, that can make you that strong, that unshakable. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 rules drawn from Stoic wisdom and echoed in the life of Hussein that can give you unbreakable inner peace. These are not abstract ideas. They are weapons, shields, anchors, and once you start living by them, life will never push you the same way again. So let's start with the first rule. The Stoics called it stillness. Hussein lived it in the darkest hours of his life, and if you learn it, it can change yours. The first rule is stillness. And listen, I don't mean doing nothing. Stillness isn't laziness, it's strength. It's the power to pause when everything in you wants to explode. Most people lose themselves in the noise. They react, they rush, they argue, they waste energy proving things that don't even matter. But the ones who practice stillness, they save their energy, they hold their ground, they become untouchable. Think about it. When was the last time you regretted staying calm? Almost never. But how many times did you regret reacting too fast? Stillness is the gap between the trigger and your choice, and in that gap, your peace is either lost or protected. Now let me show you why this isn't just theory. History gave us the most powerful example. Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet, stood in Karbala surrounded by chaos, betrayal, thirst, fear, pressure from all sides. And yet, he stayed still, not frozen, not weak, calm, grounded, focused. His silence wasn't emptiness, it was power. It unsettled his enemies more than shouting ever could. Because when you don't flinch, you can't be controlled. That's what stillness does for you. It makes you solid inside, no matter the storm outside. And here's the practice. When pressure hits, don't rush. Breathe. Wait. Even 3 seconds of stillness can save you from hours of regret. Train that pause. That's how you start building unbreakable inner peace. The second rule is clarity. Let me ask you, how many times have you lost sleep over something that wasn't even real? A text you overanalyzed, a look you misread, a what if that never happened. That's not reality. That's your mind turning shadows into monsters. Clarity is the light that makes the monsters vanish. It's asking, does this really matter, or am I just reacting? Most of the time it's not worth your energy. Most of the time it's noise pretending to be important. Now think about Hussein, surrounded in Karbala by enemies, fear, betrayal. He had every reason to drown in confusion, but he didn't. His clarity was like fire in the dark. He knew why he stood. He knew what he lived for. And because of that, no army, no chaos, no threat could break him. They had numbers. He had vision. And vision outlasts noise, always. Here's your practice. When your thoughts start spinning, don't let them run wild in your head. Write them down, see them on paper. Then ask yourself, is this fact, or is this just fear dressed as fact? The moment you do that, the storm inside begins to clear. You see what's real, and once you see what's real, you can't be shaken so easily. Clarity doesn't just calm you, it sharpens you. It makes you steady, confident, dangerous in the best way. Because the person who sees clearly is the person who can't be controlled. That's why clarity is the second rule for unbreakable inner peace. And listen, if this is already hitting you, don't stop now, because the next rule will take this clarity and make it unshakable strength. Hit subscribe and ring the bell. You're going to want to feel that power. The third rule is emotional control. And let's be real. Most battles in your life aren't lost because of weakness. They're lost because you handed the wheel to your emotions. Anger takes the wheel. You crash. Fear takes the wheel. You freeze. Insecurity takes the wheel. You chase approval until you're empty. And then you wonder why life feels out of control. The Stoics knew this thousands of years ago. Emotions aren't the enemy. They're signals. Anger shows you what matters. Fear shows you where you're vulnerable. Joy shows you what you value. But here's the catch. Signals guide. They don't drive. You drive. Always. Now think about Hussein. Imagine the pressure. His family threatened. His companions outnumbered. Betrayal from people he once trusted. Anyone else would have broken in rage or collapsed in fear. But not him. His emotions didn't control him. He controlled them. He felt the storm, but he didn't let it drive him. That's why even in his final moments, his words were calm, his decisions clear. His strength wasn't in shouting, it was in not being shaken. Here's the practice. The next time anger hits, don't let it own you. Step back. Breathe. Watch it like a storm passing across the sky. The storm is real, but it doesn't last. And when you pause, you gain a choice. Do I use this energy to destroy or to build? That pause is your weapon. That's where emotional intelligence is born. And once you start mastering this, something powerful happens. People can't push your buttons anymore. They try to provoke you. You stay steady. They expect you to collapse. You don't. That calmness, that's not weakness. That's unshakable strength. That's discipline in action. This is why emotional control is the third rule for unbreakable inner peace. Without it, you're a passenger in your own life. With it, you're the driver, calm, steady, free. The fourth rule is resilience. Life will hit you. That's not a possibility, it's a guarantee. Pain, loss, betrayal, failure, they come for everyone. The mistake most people make is believing it shouldn't happen to them. That belief is what breaks them. They suffer twice, once from the hit, and again from thinking it's unfair. Resilience is different. It's not about avoiding the storm, it's about standing through it. Imagine a tree in the wind. A weak tree snaps because it refuses to bend. A strong tree sways, bends, moves with the wind. But when the storm is over, it's still there, stronger even. That's resilience, bending without breaking. Now think of Hussein in Karbala. Every comfort stripped away, every ally tested, the kind of suffering most of us can't imagine. Yet he didn't collapse. He didn't lose himself to despair. He treated the pain as a test, not a curse. He showed that resilience isn't about pretending you don't feel the pain. It's about refusing to let the pain own you. That's why his stance still inspires hearts centuries later. He was hit harder than anyone, and yet he stood taller than anyone. Here's your practice. When something goes wrong, stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "This is training." Every setback is a gym for your soul. Every struggle is a chance to grow mental muscle. If you let life toughen you, not weaken you, nothing can break you. Resilience means you stop being fragile. You stop falling apart every time life gets heavy. You rise, you recover, you adapt, and with every comeback, you prove to yourself, I am harder to break than I ever thought. That's why resilience is the fourth rule for unbreakable inner peace. The fifth and final rule is sovereignty. Think about everything we've covered. Stillness gave you the shield, clarity gave you the light, emotional control gave you strength, and resilience made you unbreakable. Put them all together, and what do you get? Sovereignty, the state where you fully own yourself. Most people live like actors in someone else's play. They adjust their lines, their looks, their lives, just to please an audience that doesn't even care. But sovereignty is different. It's when you stop auditioning for approval and start living aligned with your own values. History shows us what this looks like at its highest form. Hussein, the grandson of the prophet, faced a world demanding surrender. The pressure to compromise, to bend, to trade truth for survival was crushing. But he stood, calm, firm, unshakable. His sovereignty wasn't about arrogance, it was about alignment. His principles were worth more than life itself, and that's why his name still echoes today. Because the world can't break a person who has already chosen truth over comfort. Now here's the real test, and I want you to let this question hit you. If tomorrow the world went silent, no likes, no applause, no validation, would you still know who you are? Or would you feel lost without the noise? That question separates the strong from the fragile. If this shook you, don't walk away, because what comes next is the key to locking this power in place. The next video is called 5 Stoic Lessons to Build Fearless Resilience. Miss it, and you'll miss the step that turns peace into unstoppable power. So subscribe, hit the bell, and keep walking this path, because your transformation is just beginning.